Welcome to Soul Awakening with Sandra. Glad to have you back. And last week we were talking about one of the Eagles' playgrounds, and I gave you an example of the dogma that I had to work through, right? So let me take you back before we go forward. And what I want to go back on is there is always a question in all of humanity is what is this life all about, right? And it took me a very, very, very long time to find out the answers that served me for my greater good. Now, some people might not think this is for their greater good to know or for their greater good to actually function in life. But for me, it helped me to understand it because I did get that I am a free will being. I get that life is to my making, pretty much. I mean, I learned that totally from when I was growing up in my Baptist background and all through moving through my born again background and to this point here. But there was always a defining question for me about what was this life really about. I understood that I am a spirit being having a human incarnation, that I have free will choices, that I get to sift and sort through those free will choices. I finally understood that I can have a thought for my greatest good, send it to the universe, and that the law of attraction, through my feelings and emotions about that which I wanted, would manifest it. And then I would be in an allowing moment and an allowing frequency to receive it. But for me, there's that question again. What more? What am I missing? What do I not see with my physical eyes that I need to see with my spiritual eyes so that it can be revealed to me in this duality, in this now? And the answer was, for me, is it's not just about me and my free will. It's about my soul. We each are born with a soul, whether we believe it or not, whether we're conscious of it or not. Our soul is layered or bogged down amongst all those layers of old stories and dogmas and old paradigms that we have been either pushed, it has been pushed on us, we have created it ourselves, or we have played follow the leader, right? And then we have these layers. Now, some of us, we begin to sift and sort through these layers when something magnanimous happens in our life, something negative and magnanimous that makes us start thinking about what more, right? What is this life all about? Is life just shitting on me? Or am I truly creating what is shitting on me, right? Okay, so I want to give you, use your imagination. The consciousness of God is everything and everywhere. But it's energy, it's light, it's vibration, and it wants to know itself. So it thinks a thought vibrationally, and it registers further away from it that it gets. And in that, it creates everything. The universe, the galaxies, the stars, the moon, the planets. And each planet in itself is a reflection of God or consciousness of God. Now God gets to feel what it's created. But how does it feel it? It creates beings, an extension of itself. So in our duality, in our density that we're in now, which is called third density, the first density was just being and awareness. The second density was growth and movement. The third density is self-awareness. So God got to feel itself in the first density of being and awareness where everything was being created. And then it felt itself in second density, which is growth, the growth of planets and bacteria. And it became this chemical body, right? It's real, real as our bodies. It's creative. God got to feel itself in that. And then third density came along, right? And that becomes self-aware. Well, God said, if I already know that I'm energy and light and being, then I want to experience me as something else. So God veiled the third density and created living beings. And with the third density, here's the kicker. Your conscious mind and ego was created. And the soul, that part of God, was veiled. So it could now make its way back and integrate with the consciousness of everything. Because with our souls making its way back to the consciousness of everything, it's telling God, this is what I experienced. This is what you are in your fullness. We, a spiritual being having a human incarnation, through all our feelings and all our emotions and all our thoughts, the soul is making its way back through its choice. It has two choices: the choice of positive and the choice of negative. Now, it's not as you and I might see it in the human realm, in the human duality. It's in third density. The choice of positiveness is the choice to serve others, therefore serving self. The choice of negative is serving self and bypassing serving others. It's taking the love aspect out of it. Serving others and then serving self is serving with love. And it's through our choices, yeah. And this is how our souls are moving up the densities. There's 7 of them. 7 densities. We're in the third. Actually, I think around 2000, I think maybe 2012, it could be 2017. I'm not really sure, but you can look up the Law of One. And there's a gentleman, his name is Aaron Apke. He's on YouTube, and he explains it really well. And this excited me because this was the missing piece. And the consciousness of God just said, okay, you asked for it, here it is. And it makes so much sense because it gives me an aspect of what my soul's purpose is within me and how I can help my soul, not only my soul helping me, but me helping my soul move through these densities and reintegrating with God so that God could see this unit called Sandy and all that I felt, all that I was, and that I am the consciousness of God coming back to it. Okay? So third density created this ego who's got all these hiding places and all these playgrounds. And the ego likes continuity. It likes a fixed place to play in. And usually it plays in your past and it plays in your future. It cannot be in your now moment. It doesn't function there. There's too many infinite possibilities of consciousness there. Too many places for me to hurt myself as far as my ego and my mind is concerned. Too many disappointments. Now that we've worked our way back up to it, the next playground that the ego likes to playground is a lack of self-worth. It doesn't mind you thinking negative of yourself, because if you think negative of yourself, you are never going to come out of that prefabricated, comfortable scenario that you're in. You're never going to jump from or cross the threshold into Alice's rabbit hole. And I love to call it that because if you go back and watch Alice in Wonderland, you'll see that when she fell down that rabbit hole, it was infinite possibilities. Her imagination ran wild and things became possibilities. And these possibilities became probabilities. And these probabilities became thoughts that were for your greater good, that became beliefs, and the beliefs became your truth at that moment. But your ego's truth is keeping you in limitation instead of allowing you to move into infinite possibilities and becoming limitless, which is the consciousness of God. See, your ego and your mind want to be your creator, but it doesn't know how without protecting you and limiting you. That's all it knows. Fight, flight, or resist. And we all know resisting something means that which you resist will persist, right? And if you run from everything, you will never dive into your possibilities and stay long enough for them to come to fruition, for them to manifest, and for you to live your most glorious life. You'll always be sad. You'll always be disappointed. You'll always be uncomfortable. You'll always be unhealthy. And then your mind may sometimes give you a moment of happiness, but it's fleeting. And it tells you it's fleeting, and then you get sad and despondent and go, woe is me, how come that didn't last, right? And then you'll vibe with other people that are in that self-loathing vibration. And we have all these stories that our mind and our ego kind of latch onto. Other people's stories of telling you you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you need to love yourself like other people love you. You can't love yourself. That's selfish, and that's arrogant, and that's conceited. If you get up every morning, hug yourself and say, Sandy, I love me. Kiss. Right? Got lipstick on me. So that's where your ego plays at. And it could be generational. You could have heard your mother tell you you're not worthy. Her mother could have heard her mother tell you you're not worthy. Or you could have heard your father tell you little girls don't deserve anything. It's a man's world, period. Because in certain stages of people's life, it was mainly men telling women that they weren't good enough to be anything else but a wife and a mother, and also listening to do what you do and hush. Same thing with children. Children are to be seen but not heard. And women are just like cattle, right? Property. That's what, for me, that's what, when I studied on that, that's what it was. Getting married, that you were the man's property. Man and wife. Not man and woman, but man and wife. Right? You were the property. In this day and age, now things are coming to a different fruition. Things are manifesting differently. And people are coming into their own. But there's still that file that your ego and your mind can go to. When you step out of line too far, when you color outside of the lines, when you start breaking down those prefabricated stories that kept you in your mind and your ego's box, because you had those stories saying you're not worthy enough, you're not cute enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not handsome enough, you're not rich enough, you're not savvy enough, you're not intelligent enough. And then this is what you think about yourself, whether you're a man or a woman. Okay? Well, the ego plays there. Yes, of course the ego's going to play there because it's called control. And the ego says, well, I still want to be his or her creator. And she's coming into her own. Okay, let's draw that line a little bit thicker so she doesn't cross it or he doesn't cross it. Let's go into their supercomputer file that we filed these thoughts away, and let's get that mini her, or that her that she left behind because she moved on, that still has this record playing and her sign saying, I'm not worthy, right? And let's bring that to the forefront. So she just kind of backs up. She backs up from Alice's hole because she's about to jump in it. She's not about to be pushed in it. She's not about to be, an earthquake is going off and she's just going to jump, or he's just going to jump, right? And she's going to find out that she's got choices. She's got possibilities. She's got choices to allow her to create her most vibrant moment. And then her soul gets to vibrate in that of positive third density motion, right? Ooh, we've got to go into that file. Yes, you do have the file. And yes, your mind is rummaging through it. But it's only doing it because you're not conscious of it, or you're not observing it. If you observe your mind for a minute when it gives you a thought, and you are not comfortable with that thought, it will become quiet with the thought. And then you get to tell your mind through your soul that you don't want that anymore. You get to call those dark images of you. And when I say dark, not negative, they're just in the shadow because that's where you left them. And yes, it goes back to us being responsible for us. And that's just another story that you have to bring forward, because the world wants you to think that when something goes wrong with you, you get to blame it on someone else, or a situation or a circumstance that was created because of you. But you get to call that situation or that circumstance or that shadow of you that's hiding there forward through meditation, through prayer, and yes, it's work. You are work and you're worth it. You have to bring those forward. It's just like a computer. And I'm going to keep saying that as long as we're talking about the ego and the mind. It's your ego, your mind, and your brain are just like a computer. When the software doesn't fit anymore, when it's slowing you down, you get to bring that software forward, tell it thank you very much, tell it delete, and then you must feel it with new software that's for your greater good. So that means you get to say, what is the next thought that we are going to have? And you say we, body, mind, and soul. And is it for my greater good? Your soul will register it through your feelings of how you feel about it, and then move it into the vibration of, yes, the law of attraction, the law of oneness, because you're one with everything, and move it forward. But you've got to think about how you think about yourself. I know that says it's a lot of hard work, but you've got to start putting thought into it that you're worthy. That you're worthy of being happy. That you're worthy of being satisfied. That you're worthy of loving yourself first. And here, I'm going to say it again. I said it in the last video. If you don't love yourself, who is going to love you? If you don't love yourself, how are you going to teach other people to love you? It's a part of the law of attraction, because it's peeling back all those layers and calling all those avatars of yourself forward out of the darkness, saying, thank you very much for protecting me. Thank you very much for trying to keep me safe. But let's delete this old thought, this old paradigm, this old dogma, and let's give you something new. Come on with me. We're going to live some life, right? We're going to come out of that playground and we're going to go to the playground of our soul. Our soul has a playground. You want to come play in it? It's called prosperity. It's called plenitude. It's called love. It's called joy. It's called peace. It's called hope. It's called creativeness. It's called adventurous. It's so many names that are glorifying the life that you are living through your spirit and helping your soul move up the densities and merge with the source and saying, here, this is who Sandra was, or Susan was, or Jamie was, or John was, or Patrick was. Yes. So this for me is why I'm doing this. This is for me. And I'm going to, my soul is giving me something else to tell you. That sometimes calling those avatars forward, sometimes the consciousness of God does it at the most unique time, right? Through your choices, whether they be good or bad, the consciousness of God is moving through them and will activate something in you that will cause you to see. It's called the dark night of the soul. And sometimes it has you be still and be in that stillness so that you can see that avatar that's in the dark, that's not knowing what to do with the old story and the old paradigm and the old dogma that it's holding on to, because you left it there. And the consciousness of all that is sees it. It's a light that shines onto it. And you get to do your best work for you. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're whole. You're whole. Your soul knows you're whole. It feels you're whole. But your mind and your label or your ego that wants to have that label, I'm sick. I'm depressed. I'm anxiety ridden. I'm ADHD. And all the labels that the world wants to give you. Your ego is more than happy to reach out and take a label for you. That's not for your greater good. Don't get me wrong. Your mind and your ego, they're not your enemy. But they're not your best friend yet. You have to observe the sifting and sorting that your mind and your ego is doing through your brain. Sifting and sorting. And you have to, when it comes up with something, you have to observe what it's come up with. And you have to go, your soul, is it for my greater good? Is it for the greater good of those that I want to serve? So that I can help my soul move up the densities. And this is why I'm here. To shed the light. Because maybe you don't know. And now you do. What are you going to do with it? And I leave you with that question. I thank you for joining me. I thank you for this sacred, being in the sacred place with me. I'm thankful and grateful for this sacred place that I could be here for you. And I want you to have a beautiful, beautiful day.